Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. We are already beginning a new school year, and as we begin this new school year academically, it's also a new school year for us here at Parkway. Every grade is going to be going up to a new level, so on September 8th we have what we call Promotion Sunday. So as we get ready for that Sunday, there's a couple of things that we wanted to send your way that we thought would be helpful. Sometimes kids go into different classes, like at 9 o'clock maybe one week, and then maybe the next week they'll go at 10:30. So we wanted to send something that we thought would be helpful. We have found that kids who go to the same class at the same hour are really able to dive into the material really well. So if you find that it's more common for your family to attend a 9 o'clock worship service and then have your child go to small groups at 10:30, try your best to keep them at the 10:30 hour. Not only will they be able to dive into the material more consistently with teachers who are familiar, but they'll also get to develop peer relationships that will help them to really get good friendships that can be established not just now, but for a long time from now as well. And so also it lets them really get to feel familiar and comfortable in their environment so that as they learn, they really get to absorb this material rather than trying to adapt to their surroundings. And so that's one thing that we found to be helpful and just wanted to share by way of encouragement to you. Not only do we encourage kids to be involved in small groups, but once they hit elementary, we really do encourage them to also be a part of worship service. Now I know sometimes that might be difficult because sometimes kids are antsy or they're wanting to ask a lot of questions, and that might make it difficult to figure out how do I balance having a child with me in the middle of a worship service when you don't want that to be a distraction for you or a distraction for others. First thing we want to let you guys know, do not worry if your child is having a little bit of a moment that's causing distraction. We are all a part of the Parkway family here together, and we encourage kids to learn at the same level as other people. We want them to know, like, hey, we believe that you guys can pick up this material. We believe that you can pay attention to the sermon. We believe that you can engage in the worship music. We believe that they can really learn by seeing others participate in prayer, by seeing mission groups sent out, by seeing people get baptized. And a lot of that stuff is missed if they're not engaging in worship service. And so on a Sunday morning, we have small groups at both hours and worship services at both hours, so that whatever hour is better for you guys would allow your child to experience both. Whether that be a 9 o'clock worship service and 10:30 small group, or 9 o'clock small group and 10:30 worship service. But you might be thinking, well, what are some ways that I can help my child engage in the worship service if they're going to attend it with me? And so we came across a couple of things that we thought would be helpful to share. One of them, tell your child that you are happy that they are big enough to be engaged in the worship service. Just letting them know that they are at the next level and that they are able to engage now because they are big enough, because they're old enough, that it is a privilege for them to engage in worship service will help them feel like it's not just a duty, like, oh, well, now you have to come into worship service. Now it's you get to be a part of worship service. You are big enough to do this when you weren't when you were in preschool. That's an exciting thing for a kid to hear, and it might help them think about worship service a little bit differently and be excited when they come in. We also think it'd be really good for you guys to pray with your kids beforehand and pray with them that God would help them understand what they're going to be learning. And then you yourself as a parent or guardian, pray that God would make you a godly example to the kids that are with you so that they can see how to engage in a worship service by the way that you model it for them. Also, some small practical things is before worship service even begins, take your child to the restroom and take your child to get some water so that they don't have to worry about doing that in the middle of service. If they go beforehand, they're less likely to have to go in the middle of service. But of course, if at any point they have to go, it's never a problem. People get up in the middle of service for various reasons all the time. You never have to feel bad or guilty or like it's a distraction if you need to get up and take your child to the restroom or to get some water at any point. Make sure that you also can sit beside the children, or at least sit in a very close proximity if you have a couple of children with you. But when you place them to sit, make sure that they're able to be in seats where they can see clearly the people who are engaged either in leading music or preaching or praying at any point, that they can see that That way they'll be able to engage visually and not sitting behind someone that might be a little bit too tall for them to be able to see past. And so those are some simple things that might be able to help them also engage, just because they'll be able to visually understand what's going on. And then also allow them to participate in the worship service. When you stand up to sing, invite them to stand up to sing with you. When later in the service the offering plate is passed, give them some money, $1 or $2, that they can put into the offering themselves to help them feel like they are engaging in the worship service and that they're participating in it. And help them to see that worship service is not something that we just attend. Worship service is something that we get to participate in together. And that might help them be more engaged and excited about their role in the worship service. And then help them to know that if they ever have a question, that they're engaging with the material when someone is sharing or someone is preaching. If they have a question, they can ask it maybe in a whisper so that they don't have to just ask it where a large group of people around them can hear. Or you can say, if they're old enough, write your questions down, and after service we can talk about that as well. We do have kids' notes that are available at the worship in the lobby. There's a little table, a welcome table for worship service. And so kids can write down different things. There'll be a couple of questions on there that help them interact with service at their level. And so by all means, pick up one of those at the welcome table in the lobby on your way into service, and then your child can utilize that while they're listening to the sermon that day. And that's just a helpful way for them to be able to process what they're hearing as well. Kids are an exciting part of our worship service, and we want them to be there. And so we want to make you guys aware that we're not concerned if they do have a moment of distraction or if they do get loud. If they sing loud and they want to dance in the aisles, we are excited about that. We don't want to inhibit children from their expression of praise unto God. We want them to know that they are a very welcome part of our worship service, and that God can even utilize them to teach us. But as they experience these things, we are praying that God would utilize you guys, the moms, the dads, the guardians of these precious kids, to be the godly example of what it looks like to come and be a part of a corporate worship service together. So thank you guys for allowing your children to be a part of the Parkway family, not only through their small group experience, but also through our worship service. Thank you guys, and we're looking forward to an awesome year.